Pat here from Dead Things. You still here? That's nice. So, freshly shorn. Wondering if I should be putting in a bit of touch of gray, make it look like I have the experience, but now have the energy to get it done. Which is a load of crap, because half the time I don't know what the hell I'm doing, and I want to spend all day just dozing on the couch. So I couldn't let things go with the my last vlog regarding Hauntcast. Hauntcast was just too important to me. So this is my final farewell to the Scream team, and a way of saying thank you to the many hours of enjoyment that I got from the show. I'll give you a bit of background. I live in a small city, about 300,000 in Canada, and in a province that has maybe 1 million people spread over a very large chunk of land. And there aren't very many people who are into Halloween, not like I am. And there's a few reasons for that. I think culturally, the ethnicity of the area didn't have a lot of that type of background. Not a lot of Irish, not a lot of British. The weather around Halloween can be bloody frickin' brutal. We've been lucky the last few years. It's been just hovering just around freezing or a little above, but you know, there's been times where it's been like very cold, you know, sitting around the I guess what would it be in Fahrenheit, probably around, you know, 50 degrees Fahrenheit, so very cold, with the wind. So it can be really bloody brutal around here. So there just aren't a lot of people who are into Halloween like I am. So consequently don't have a lot of people to chat with this about. There's no make and takes, that type of thing. And so no community that I can be involved with regarding Halloween. Well, that's important. You know, I'm a musician. I make a phone call. I got a couple of dozen people that I can get together with on the weekend and bang things out and have some fun, right? Halloween, no. So I discovered Hauntcast somewhere around episode 6, and it was like this epiphany. First thing, I was pissed off because I'd missed episodes 1 through 5. Why hadn't anybody told me about this Hauntcast thing? Well, I was a lurker on the Haunt forum, so you know, it's probably the reason why. But you know, I think I downloaded as many. I think I listened to the entire 1 through 5 episodes that weekend as I was puttering around my garage. So, you know, and from that point on, I was a loyal minion. I tuned in regularly, downloaded regularly. So, you know, I finally had a chance to listen to this episode. I downloaded it on this little slice of heaven, and listen to the show. And you know, I can certainly feel for the Scream team of why they want to give it up. I mean, I know you know, Revenant and Shelley are certainly facing some tough times. Chris, I believe, is you know, having his share of struggles as well. And you know, there's a point, you know, that hierarchy of needs, you know, food, security, that kind of comes first, right? Shelter, you know, those are kind of the base things that you got to take care of before you can go on to have fun in your hobbies, right? So so I can see why for them it was time to pull the plug. You know, one of the things that I actually found kind of shocking listening to that last episode was when Revenant was discussing how they were thinking that when they went to the pay for format that they were going to lose 50% of their audience, and they ended up losing 90. That is shocking. You know, I got to give it to Chris and the Scream team for soldiering on. You know, hell, if that was me, I probably would have said screw it and pulled the pin. What's the point? So that's a bit of a cold shot, definitely. But it is what it is, right? The one thing that I've found from my many years in the music industry at my level, I'm not never was able to get to that top tier, but I spent a lot of times in the trenches in bars and cabarets and doing that type of stuff, and you're giving it away. If you're giving away the milk, why is anybody going to buy the cow, right? And I've said that to new bands. Sure, there's a point where you have to pay your dues and play for free, but if people get used to paying, they get used to paying, and they'll pay, right? So, anyways, enough on that. The importance of Hauntcast for me was that it was my make and take. I said that to Chris, that Hauntcast was my make and take. As I said, there's nobody around here who's into Halloween like I am. So I'm kind of the only freak on the block, as it were. And it's kind of nice to know that there are other freaks out there, as well. Wish they were a little closer to home, but yeah, it is what it is. So they were my make and take, and I learned so much from listening to that. I mean, it changed the way that I view my yard haunt. Changed what I want to do. Made me think about things like setting up scares. Made me think about things like lighting and sound and all these things that I really hadn't thought of. That's these things I kind of were on the peripherals, but having someone discuss them then puts it, makes it somehow a little bit more real, and makes it, kind of solidifies the idea, as it were, that maybe had not been solid in my head. I learned so much from the show, whether it be listening to the haunting gurus, listening to the prop guys. I first heard about Pickaxe from Steve-O, from the prop guys. Exploring the mad props for props, and seeing all the remarkable, awe-inspiring work that people do out there. Incredibly creative work that people are doing in this thing. The movie reviews and the comic book reviews and the novel reviews that Johnny and Chris would do. Shellhawk with her take on all these different aspects of haunting and Halloween related ideas, which which were cool. I tried to find the Halloween tree, because of her. Jason Grimlock Manor, Fright Guy, he was adding such an interesting segment to Hauntcast. I think really welcome. In fact, one of the interesting things Jason did was talking about a haunt. It's an interactive haunt that was occurring in New York, and where you could pick a character and follow this character around, and you were wearing masks, kind of like that Tom Cruise movie where you put on a mask and nobody knows who you are, and you follow these individuals through this haunt. Well, the next day I'm reading through my local newspaper, and there's a write-up on this haunt, up here in Little Old Saskatchewan. So that was kind of cool. I think I've read a couple of things on the forums. But I think Vic Barito, and if I'm mispronouncing your name, Vic, I apologize. I think he kind of summed it up when he said, Chris, I don't think you know what impact you actually had on the haunting community. I don't know if you do. You had a tremendous impact on me. Like I said, I've rethought my haunt because of Hauntcast, and I think that Hauntcast gave me probably the biggest sense of community that I've had in haunting since I began this crazy mad voyage. And you know, just all those things, you know. So to Chris, to Shellhawk, to Johnny, to Jason, to all the numerous prop guys, Steve-O, Doc Morbius, Dan Haunt, to Wicked Gannon, who I think we're losing a lot just not being able to have a pick at that guy's brain, and especially Revenant, I bow to your kung fu, sir. You know, thank you ever so much. You certainly enriched my haunting world, my Halloween world, and I'm definitely going to miss you. So all the best to you all in your future endeavors, and maybe we'll catch you around the net, and stay scary. Take care.